Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Good evening. It is that time of the evening. Whoa, look at my eyes. Okay, there's something wrong with the way my green screen is working because that's creepy. The heck? Good evening, Migs. What is going on? All right, let me try to fix this here. My backdrop color is set to blue. Oh, good. I'm fading away. Okay, I'm back. All right. Why was it set to blue? That would explain. That explains some stuff. All right. Sorry, I keep messing with it. I'm trying to get that lighting setting just right here. Why is that making that? What is this right here? Is that better? That's better. All right. Cool. Hi, everyone. How are you today? It's that time of the night. The time of the night where I get my wine and I try to wrap up the day. Ugh. Jojo's sick. Jojo's been thrown up all day. So Jojo's in my bed. I had throw up on the bed. So I don't want to get in that bed because but it was like the dry heave throw up, so it's like just like he drank water and then it came right back up. I just don't want to deal with it. My wife is asleep in the living room. And so what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? All right, you know what? I'm going to need to put this someplace closer to my face. Hope he feels better. He does feel better. I went in there and feel better. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes something goes in wrong or something you put something in your throat that's wrong and it just goes bad. And ultimately, that has to come out. We've got to get rid of that, says your stomach. And then you proceed to get rid of it. And Jojo, you know, obviously I love him. He is my child. But he has this tendency to just put whatever the hell he wants in his mouth. And sometimes that leads to unfortunate events, such as today, whatever. Okay, why isn't that? What's going on? Why can't I change anything? All right. Anyways, kids are petri dishes. Let them sweat it out if it's not life-threatening. Yeah. What's up, Neil Valentine? How you doing, Raythulu? Let's say hi to everybody. Raythulu, Colonel Irwin, Migs, Awful Redneck, Bright Glory, Cross Comics. Good morning. Hello to everyone. Sleep in your comfy chair. I don't like sleeping in my recliner. My recliner is just not conducive to good sleeping for me. Anyways, it's going to end up hurting my neck. So I will have to figure it out. I'll probably... Isn't that the worst time to figure something out like that? Is like when you're tired. You've had your wine. You want to just lay down and go to sleep. But instead you have to go and figure out some sort of a sleeping arrangement wherein you're not sleeping on vomit. Oh, come on. I'm glad most of his expectorant was like in the bathroom and whatnot. So like I said, this is just that, you know, like right after you throw up and you really want some water because you wanted but you drink it and then it just comes right back up. That's what that was. So it's not like my bed doesn't smell like puke or anything. Thank God. I know these are the wonderful things you get to hear about when you come. Oh, you meant the chair I'm in now. Well, it does have this wonderful ability to just lay back. Actually, this does have good neck rest. That's actually not the worst idea in the world. I'll be honest with you, that's actually not a bad idea. Sleeping in a chair wrecks my back. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to do was try... I don't know. Shoot, I probably shouldn't do it like that. I should probably do Chrome tab. Share audio. Share. Now I can share the audio. Obviously, I missed the Democratic debates tonight. So, what happened? Did anybody catch anything? Because obviously there was some other stuff going on Twitter that kind of made me giggle a little bit, but I don't really want to talk about that. But yeah, there was some kerfuffles over here in the Democratic Party too. Bloomberg got wrecked. All right, let's watch a bit of something here. This is doing nothing. Why do these even have clips? I'm clicking on them. They do nothing. This very excellent, good stuff here. Is this it?
Away from a national primary. And I want to ask all of you this simple question. There's a very good chance none of you are going to have enough delegates to the Democratic National Convention to clinch this nomination. Okay? If that happens, I want all of your opinions on this. Should the person with the most delegates at the end of this primary season be the nominee, even if they are short?
I bet you they all say no.
Senator Sanders, I'm going to let you go last here because I know your view on this. So instead, I will start with you, Mayor Bloomberg.
Whatever the rules of the Democratic Party are, they should be followed. And if they have a process, which I believe they do,
I'm trying to do
so
this,
that
yes or no,
everybody else, everybody can.
So you want the convention to work its will?
Yes.
Senator Warren.
But a convention working its will means that people have the delegates that are pledged to them, and they keep those delegates until you come to the convention.
So that's a no.
Okay.
It's called a no. That's just a no.
Biden?
Play by the rules.
Yes or no? Leading person with the delegates, should they be the nominee or not?
No, let the process work its way out.
Mayor Buttigieg?
Not necessarily.
Nope.
Senator Klobuchar?
Nope.
Let the process work.
Senator
No.
Sanders?
Well, the process includes 500 superdelegates on the second ballot. So I think that the will of the people should prevail. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Most votes should become the nominee.
5 no's and a yes.
I figured they'd all say
The
no.
best known socialist in the country happens to be a millionaire with 3 houses. What I miss here?
They all want to steal it from Bernie with those super delegates. Well, here's the thing. It's stupid to have like the guy just with the most delegates. You're supposed to have a certain number of delegates, right? So as much as it's hilarious to me that they all say no because Bernie would win, if you got 5 people on that stage who aren't necessarily crazy left-wing socialists, and then you've got Bernie. Bernie's the only one taking up that lane now, right? Well, I guess Liz, whatever phrase. Oh wait, she's still there. But Bianca, you want to jump on or no? The rest of them, they're splitting up all the rest of the votes, right? So this is how it happens. They should just have a freaking runoff election. It shouldn't be based on super delegates. It should be based on the 2 people with the highest amount of electorates at the end go in there, and then runoff election. Boom, done. I don't think Bernie Sanders would have a chance at winning. So Bernie versus the dwarf millionaire. The dwarf millionaire is a billionaire. He's already spent $400 million on this race. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, they're all millionaires, but that is just funny because, hey, how do you get to be a socialist millionaire? I will work in the government for 40 years. That's the way to do it.
Well, you'll miss that I work in Washington, House 1.
That's the first problem.
Live in Burlington, House 2.
That's good.
And like thousands of other Vermonters, I do have a summer camp. Forgive me for that. Where is your home? Which tax haven
New
do you
York,
have your home?
New York City, thank you very much.
right,
And I
you're
pay
also
all
on
my
home.
taxes. And I'm happy to do it because I get something for it.
Wow. Who said?
I don't think that.
Hold on a second. Who was saying that was a friggin' 0.1 for Bloomberg on that exchange? Don't you think? Pocket change to that man. I know. That guy, I don't even know what his net worth is, but yeah, he puts Donald Trump to shame. He has a wealthy man. All right, let's see here. All right, back to StreamYard. Warren also rocked Bloomy's world when she hit him with the NDA agreements at his company. Must be nice to have that kind of money to throw away. Yeah. Wow, can you imagine the things that you could do if you had just billions and billions of dollars? The things you could do. Didn't Bernie refuse to release his latest medical records? Is that the deal? I saw something about that. I haven't been following. I've been too busy creating content to absorb any. So all right, let's see what the next highlight is from the debate.
That momentary forgetfulness actually reflects what I know about Mexico and how much I care about it. And I first want to say greetings to President López Obrador. Secondly,
López? Is his name López Obrador? Is that correct? Because I've never heard of someone named López before. Bright Lawyer says Bernie is a socialist, not a priest. It's not like he is advocating for taxes he won't pay himself. He's a millionaire socialist, which doesn't make any sense. And again, he's made millions. How do you become a millionaire? Working in the government? I didn't realize. No es López Obrador. Right, so not López. Let me double check that.
greetings to President López Obrador.
Yeah, she said López. Maybe she was thinking of President López. I also like how she looked down at her notes to read the name before she said it. You all caught that, right?
How much I care about it. And I first want to say greetings to President López.
Let me check my notes because I didn't know this guy's name before. Now let me read it wrong. López Obrador.
Obrador. Secondly, what I meant by the game of Jeopardy is that I think we could all come up with things. You know, how many members are there in the Israeli Knesset? 120. Who is the president of Honduras? Hernandez.
She's looking at her notes to play the Trivial Pursuit game. Snarky Weezer says, my president, he can call him Sucker Obrador. I don't like him. Totally scripted. It's terrible. This is terrible. I think, let's see. Snarky Weezer says, well, at least there have the super packages, right? Here, the parties are mostly found by our taxes. So you can made a party knowing you will never win and leave with the money for 6 years. Live with the money. Interesting. And how much I care about it. LOL, Dems, yeah. Trivia doesn't work if you have notes. I know. How many people are in the Israeli Knesset? 120. Anybody ask me that? I know the answer. I have it written on the back of my hand.
Senator
When it
Klobuchar.
comes to Mexico, I am the one person on this stage that came out first to say I was for the U.S. Mexican-Canadian trade agreement. That is going to be one of the number one duties of a president.
Senator
is to
Klobuchar,
implement
my
that.
colleague.
That's Trump's agreement. So, okay, good for her. Good for her. She supports President Trump. OMG, she doesn't know the name of any Latin American presidents. Klobuchar sniped sarcastically at Judge Buttigieg with, "I'm sorry I'm not as perfect as you, Pete." I have to watch all of these.
Specifically ask you if you could name the president of
Yes.
Mexico, and your response was no.
Yes, that's right. And I said that I made an error. I think having a president that maybe is humble and is able to admit that here and there maybe wouldn't be a bad thing.
She said it was an error that she didn't know his name.
Mr. Vice President, what specific policies would you implement that would keep Las Vegas and Reno livable, but also not hurt those economies?
It is the existential threat that humanity faces, global warming. I went out to tech, and you have a
What?
Vice President, what specific policies would you implement that would keep Las Vegas and Reno livable, but also not hurt those economies?
It is the existential threat that humanity faces, global warming. I went out to tech, and you have a facility where you have one of the largest solar panel arrays in the world. And when the fourth stage is completed, we'll be able to take care of 60,000 homes for every single bit of their needs. And what I would do is, number one, work on providing the $47 billion we have for tech and to making sure we find answers, is to provide a way to transmit that wind and solar energy across the network of the United States. Invest in battery technology. I would immediately reinstate all of the elimination of what Trump has eliminated in terms of EPA. I would secondly make sure that we had 500,000 new charging stations in every new highway we built in the United States of America or repaired. I would make sure that we once again made sure that we got the mileage standard.
Oh my gosh, could somebody put this guy out to pasture? He's really, it's like hurting me. Is he having a stroke? I think he was having a stroke. Like right there in the middle of the oh my gosh. I feel bad. You know what? This feels like when they had, when Stan Lee was out on tour and they would lift his hand up, right? He's signing books, and they'd have somebody else lifting up his hand and then putting it down on the next book for him to scribble his name on. And he's like half asleep, but he's so exhausted, and they lift his hand and they put it down. Stan Lee, lift his hand, put it down. Stan Lee, lift his hand, put it down. Stan Lee. This is elderly abuse. I feel bad for Joe Biden that he is standing up there and they're it feels so bad. We want more hourly wages, so let's bring in Mexicans who will work for less. Big brain thinking. More hourly wages. Let's bring yeah. Chuck Todd asked Bloomberg, "Should you exist?" referring to billionaires. What? Isn't it sad? I mean, it's kind of pathetic. Oh my gosh. Should I feel bad? I love you, Mike. Thanks, Lee Munger. Should I feel bad? I mean, at some point he is volunteering to do this, right? It's not like the DNC put a gun to the back of his head and they're like, "You have to run. We need you. We need you. You're our only hope, Joe Biden. You're our only hope." He's abusing himself. Joe, for the love of God, man, stop abusing yourself. Geez, poor Stan, say what you want about the quartering. He was the main voice in exposing the Stanley situation. Was he? That's good. That's good. Super power time. Superpower time. Got it. His rapid mental decline is from his sudden shortage of stem cells he used to get from sniffing children. That's not good. Joe is sundowning. Seed fan says you shouldn't feel bad on the behalf of others when based on a bad decision they've made. But look at him. He's too old to be making this kind of decision. I'm fairly certain he shouldn't have a driver's license.
Back up, which would have saved over 12 billion barrels of oil had he not walked away from it. And I would invest in rail. Rail can take hundreds of thousands, millions of cars off the road if we have high-speed rail.
Mr. Vice President, what specific policies would you implement that would keep Las Vegas and Reno livable,
high-speed
but
rail.
also not hurt
hundreds of thousands, millions of cars off the road if we have high-speed rail?
Mr. Vice President, what specific
Wait, why is it
policies
looping? High-speed rail. That's such a canard. It would never work. Well, I guess if you had high-speed rail someplace like Texas, not Texas, someplace like Reno or Nevada, Vegas. Someplace like Vegas where North Vegas and South Vegas are like two different places. All right. And then just everybody's on the highway. Except I don't think the traffic is all that bad. I don't think traffic is all that bad in Vegas. At least not when I've been there. High-speed rail in a state that only has 2 cities. Ouch. They invested $6 billion in the high-speed rail here in California. And I see them trying to put it up. That thing's never going to get done. That's going to be like the Big Dig. You remember the Big Dig? The Big Dig started in, 1984 and completed in like 2012 in Boston. That'll be, and then it was supposed to cost like, I think it was supposed to cost like $10-15 billion, and it ended up costing like $200 billion or something like that. That's going to be the high-speed rail. That's going to be our $6 billion high-speed rail in California is going to be this, $500 billion boondoggle that'll never get finished. All right, let's see what else we got here.
And I hope you heard what his defense was. I've been nice to some women. That just doesn't cut it. The mayor has to stand on his record. And what we need to know is exactly what's.
I thought he needed to stand on a phone book. I make me laugh. Government waste, monorail. Whatever can be said about the Mexican cartel corruption doesn't negate that Americans are their biggest customers. Absolutely true, Bright Glory. Updog, one of the reasons behind my dislike for him is in his speeches. He said, you must treat murderers and thieves with respect, and then they will respect you in return. What, who the hell said that? Was that your president? Oh, goodness. I watch too much Team Time. I hear Big Dig, and I think of excavation work in Windsor Palace grounds. Speaking from experience about the phone. No, I am content to be 5'7". I don't wear lifts. I don't wear heels. I don't stand on phone books, and I don't stand on my tippy toes when I'm standing next to Art T. Bear because I don't have to.
Working out there. He has gotten some number of women, dozens, who knows, to sign non-disclosure agreements, both for sexual harassment and for gender discrimination in the workplace. So, Mr. Mayor, are you willing to release all of those women from those non-disclosure agreements so we can hear their side of the story?
We have a very few non-disclosure agreements.
How many is
Let me
that?
finish.
How many is that?
None of them accused me of doing anything other than maybe they didn't like the joke I told. And let me put, there's agreements between two parties that wanted to keep it quiet, and that's up to them. They signed those agreements, and we'll live with it.
So wait, when you say it is up to, I just want to be clear. Some is how many? And when you say they signed them and they wanted them, if they wish now to speak out and tell their side of the story about what it is they allege, that's.
This is great. This is freaking blood sports, man. They are going after each other. NBC actually reported that Bloomie didn't use a box tonight. Trump made them do that. Well, look, I mean, they're like the same height, right? Liz Warren and Mike Bloomberg. So, whatever. AMLO said that. I hate the guy. Oh, wow. Yo, what's up, Josh Graded? Oh, first yawn. Drink. Everybody drink.
Oh, boy. Get ready for an attack.
He is getting roasted. It's great. They're all going to just destroy each other. This is just fisticuffs, man. Thermonuclear war on the Democratic side, and they're all going to come out completely bloodied, bruised, beaten, and then they have to stand up against the great one, Donald J. Trump, who is just going to mop them up. It's going to be so glorious. And it's a human wall, hundreds of Mexican soldiers stopping illegals. All right, I feel like you're having... he's made a wall between Guatemala and Mexico, and very ironically, we made the wall not between USA and Mexico, but between Guatemala and Mexico. That's because of Trump, right? Before they were letting the Guatemalans and the South Americans through, but Trump said, hey, we're going to use tariffs against Mexico unless you guys stop the flow of illegals. And so that's why he went down there, if I remember correctly. You can let me know if I don't. And he started defending the southern Mexico border. Right? Yes?
Oh, no.
It's so funny because I think Tulsi would have had the best chance to go against Trump, but the DNC are betting on the Trump derangement syndrome crowd. I know. Snarky Wizard says, yes, that's the only good thing AMLO did. Right. Yeah, they did it. Ray Thulu, they did it because Trump threatened their economy with tariffs, which God bless the man. Good. All right. Trump isn't pure. Did someone say he's pure? I just said he's glorious.
Now okay with you? You're releasing them on television tonight?
Senator? No.
Is that right?
Senator Company and somebody else, in this case, a man or a woman, or could be more than that, they decided when they made an agreement that they wanted to keep it quiet for everybody's interest. They signed the agreements, and that's what we're going to live with.
I'm sorry. No, the question is, are the women bound by being muzzled by you? And you could release them from that immediately, because understand, this is not just a question.
Well, now, hold on a second. These women took money to sign an NDA, right? So is she suggesting that they give the money back in order to release them from the NDA? Because that's not really fair. If they give the money back, whatever millions of dollars he used to shut them up, they should have to give that money back, right? And NDA works both ways. Hey, you know what? I don't know what they said, so I can't judge if he made some snide joke and they just got their panties in a wad and decided to sue him or whatever it was. I don't really know, and I don't really care. But yeah, if they were willing to take an NDA deal, then they have to abide that deal. That's the way it works. 100% agree with Zach. Zach said, oh, yeah. Yeah, me too. I agree too, Seed Fan. Does the Liz's feather make her taller? If Bloomberg can't handle Billy Jack Warren, there's no way he could debate Trump. No, of course not. Of course not. Warren is a fraud. Two crooks can argue with each other. It doesn't make either correct. No, it's just fun watching. It's fun watching. I don't want to call them the enemy. It's not like they're the enemy. It's opposition. It's fun watching the opposition just beat each other bloody.
Of the mayor's character. This is also a question about electability. We are not going to beat Donald Trump with a man who has who knows how many non-disclosure agreements and the drip, drip, drip of stories of women saying they have been harassed and discriminated against.
What are you even talking about? That might be exactly what you need to beat Donald Trump. Because that's all you said about Donald Trump. Well, it's not the only thing, but it was all that stuff. That everything she's saying, she could have probably applied to Donald Trump in the last election, and he steamrolled that freaking election. It was great. Well, he didn't steamroll it. He did great. I knew he was going to win. So, Raytool says, enjoy watching the implosion. I know. I wish I'd have been able to watch this whole thing live because it looks like so much fun. All right, let's see what else the next one is.
Let's get something straight. The reason the stop and frisk change is because
Okay. Joe Biden saying, let's get something straight right out of the gate. That's comedy. Bright Glory says, I consider myself a liberal individual. I'm pro-choice. I support universal health care. I'm an atheist. I think people who've lived here their entire lives should be able to become citizens. Lived in America? If they're here legally. If they're here legally. Or if they're willing to sign up for the military. Those are my two exceptions. Well, legally isn't an exception. That's legally, that's fine. But I think, I don't want to get into a whole policy thing, but I think as far as people who are here, you can't have chain migration, right? Just because you're here doesn't mean you should be allowed to let other people in. If you want to let people stay here who are here illegally, then they have to agree to never, or you have to tag them. If you know they're here illegally and they choose to stay here and we make them legal, it has to be made so that they never get the right to vote. And they have no right to chain migration. You cannot bring in additional people if you came to this country illegally. I think that's a safe bet. And third, if you're here illegally and you want to stay here legally and somehow or another they grant some sort of an amnesty so that people can stay here legally, the third thing is they never, ever qualify for government financial aid. If you want to go home, come back through the door, get a visa, get a green card, do all that stuff, I'm perfectly happy to allow. I'm the son of an immigrant. I love immigrants. I love immigration. We had this discussion last night. But they can't be a financial burden to our country. They're still a financial burden when they join the military. Not if they join it. What do you mean they're still financial? No. If they're in the military, I mean, yeah, obviously it costs money to feed them and stuff, but you're training them and then they're serving time for this country, I don't mind giving those people a pass.
Because Barack Obama sent moderators to see what was going on. When we sent them there to say, the reason the stop and frisk changed is because Barack Obama sent moderators to see what was going on. When we sent them there to say this practice has to stop, the mayor thought it was a terrible idea we send them there. A terrible idea. Let's get the facts straight. Let's get the order straight. And it's not whether he apologized or not, it's the policy. The policy was abhorrent, and it was, in fact, a violation of every right people have. And we are the one. Our administration sent in people to monitor it, and at the very time, the mayor argued against that. This idea that he figured out it was a bad idea. He figured out it was a bad idea after we sent in monitors and said it must stop. Even then, he continued the policy.
All right, Mayor, would you like to make a quick response to that?
Yes, I would. I've sat, I've apologized, I've asked for forgiveness, but the bottom line is that we stopped too many people, but the policy, we stopped too many people, and we've got to make sure that we do something about criminal justice in this country. There is no great answer to a lot of these problems, and if we took off everybody that was wrong on off this panel, everybody that was wrong on criminal justice at some time in their careers, there'd be nobody else up here.
I'm actually with Bloomberg on that, except for I'm agreeing with him in the sense that Mini Mike roast more than a debate. That's stop and frisk. I mean, ideally it's a horrible idea, but sometimes horrible ideas are necessary for horrible situations. Yeah, Joseph says he can't admit that stop and frisk worked for him in New York City. Yeah. Again, ideally, you wouldn't want to have to do that, but it was a horrible situation in New York, and it helped. So, I don't know. Was it good that you could stop and, you see someone suspicious, acting suspicious, whatever it is, and you can frisk them and see if they're carrying an illegal firearm? Yeah. But unless you're going to let everybody there's the better solution. Let everybody carry concealed firearms. Bam. If you have that, you know what? When you have an armed population, you know what you suddenly have? A very polite population. Sometimes there's no perfect solution. Yeah, there's never really a perfect solution. I think arming people is a better solution. Breckler, children don't have any choice in being dragged here by relatives. I grew up with kids that were illegal, but didn't even speak Spanish. No way I would support them being deported. Again, that's one of those there's no perfect solution situations. But again, my thing, if they're here illegally, even if they're kids, and you know what? I have friends, at least one that I know of, who came here illegally as a child, was given amnesty by Reagan, and is now a horrible leftist. He's a great person, but he's a total leftist. I know, right? Reagan, he should be beholden to the Republican Party for giving him the citizenship that he now has. But they shouldn't. He shouldn't. I'll just say it. He shouldn't. He was here illegally. He never should have gotten amnesty. If he got the amnesty, then it should have been abided by certain rules. No chain migration, no citizenship, no right to vote. Was there another one? No welfare. No welfare. Yeah. But anyways, trust no one. As soon as he apologized, he lost. Yeah. All right, that one's over. Let's see what Booty
And
gig.
most Americans don't see where they fit if they've got to choose between a socialist who thinks that capitalism is the root of all evil and a billionaire who thinks that money ought to be the root of all power. Let's put forward somebody who actually lives and works in a middle-class neighborhood in an industrial Midwestern city. Let's put forward somebody who's actually a Democrat. Look.
That's a great line. He said, let's put forward someone who's actually a Democrat.
Oh.
Because Bloomberg was a Republican and Sanders is a socialist. So that is funny. Alfred E. Newman for president. Put trebuchets on the border. Over the wall you go. Adios, Pedro. Bianca, I don't think that's not very politically correct, Bianca. You should come on here and say that. Are you not dressed for streaming, Bianca? Is that the problem? Is that the problem here? Really? Let's see. Snarky Reserve for USA. So ideal solution should be to have a better deal for people to work in USA, pay taxes in your country, and send money here. But because many people get rich paying less. No. An ideal solution for whom? For the USA? Is for us to have money made here and sent out of the country? No, I don't think that's good. Superpower Time says, yes, please nominate CIAP. What could possibly go wrong? I don't know.
We shouldn't have to choose between one candidate who wants to burn this party down and another candidate who wants to buy this party out.
Not sure what to think about
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse.
Hey, you know what? Some chicks are just fat broads. What do you want from me? Come on, have a sense of humor, you freaking pinch-faced lesbian. Bright Glory says, Claudia, I completely agree with guest worker programs. Our agriculture system would fall apart without illegal migrant labor. I don't know. There was a time in this country when we didn't import illegals and we had just Americans doing all of the migrant, what we call all the farm work.
I mean, consider we're using the slowest things.
Was pinch-faced lesbian a bad thing to say? I mean, come on, look at her. Play the rest of Warren's fat broad comment, Mike. You love it. Okay.
Women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
I do love it. Oh my gosh, that was so close to what I actually said. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm starting to like Bloomberg. Oh man. Is that it? Let's see who's talked the most. Elizabeth Warren, of course. Let's see. The Amish don't seem to have a problem without illegals tending their crops. That's true. Teens no longer get summer jobs because those jobs are held by adult illegals. That is correct. Bright Glory says, we had indentured laborers, then slaves, then the cheapest labor we could import, and debt citizenship too. Well, again, Bright Glory, and this isn't like centuries ago. This is, 40, 50 years ago. We had American citizens doing the farm work. It would be like after school work and stuff. Literally. It wasn't. See, here's the thing. You can't have a welfare state that caters to illegal immigrants and unfettered immigration. You can have one or the other, but you can't just turn America into the welfare state for the world. Otherwise, we just end up absorbing all of those immigrants, and they use the welfare state, and then it's just a giant wealth redistribution scheme going from those of us who pay our taxes to those of us who came here illegally. It's kind of crap. I'm pretty sure that if all the parts really want, we can have an agreement good for everyone. Mike, I'm not agree totally with your comment. All right, Snarky Wizard, tell me what you disagree with and let us discuss. What else we got here going on? Most tweeted about Democratic presidential candidates during Dems debate. 1, Warren. 2, Bloomberg. 3, Sanders. All right. These are the most tweeted about politicians during tonight's debate. 1, Donald Trump. Who won tonight's Democratic debate? Donald Trump. Good job. Good job, guys.
Doesn't have to be there.
I know. Neon Rogue says, let's just admit they target illegals because they are cheap labor and they keep their mouths shut. It's a bad system, the way it runs. And yeah, it is. I mean, you guys all know this, right? You've got the Democrats who want the illegals here because they want their votes. They do want the welfare state, and they want to pay the minimum amount they can for each vote. So if you have low income illegal immigrants here living 3 families to an apartment, you can pay them the least amount possible to guarantee their votes, right? It's very difficult to buy a millionaire's vote. On the other hand, the agriculture system, a lot of companies, they want the cheap labor. And so you have the establishment Democrats and the establishment Republicans working hand in hand to make sure that the illegal immigration problem is never actually solved. It's always the establishment and the establishment getting together and screwing the rest of us. Comment, prices will go up, and you also have to be really certain if Americans want to work in the same conditions. Snarky Weezer, you know why? Here's the thing. If it got too expensive to hire manual labor, this happens in every industry. When it gets too expensive for manual labor to do something, it becomes automated. That job disappears, and robots do the job for us. If you don't think that can happen in farming, it's because the labor is cheap enough that the technology has not been developed. I cleaned out pig spits, and lost my ability to vomit. Oh, all right. Breckler, I do disagree with the left's notion that only non-desirable jobs are taken by illegals. Plenty of technical professionals have been replaced in America. Yeah, my brother had a hard time finding work. He's a highly skilled carpenter, craftsman, trained in Japan, and he had a hard time finding work here because there's so many illegals doing all the carpentry work. So yeah, it's not just people picking tomatoes or whatever. I bet the eagle women with all sorts of harassment. These are better to get. Deadlines headline tonight. The Democrats' brutal debate night. What makes for good TV? Maybe even better for Donald Trump. True. Because Democrats are, as we say here, left-wingers with right-wing pockets. I've never heard that before. Colonel Irwin says Australia That's terrible. Australia used a lot of backpackers. I can't even do it. Used a lot of backpackers for seasonal and menial jobs. It helps subsidize their holiday. They spend the money back into the economy and ultimately go home. Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. Everyone who talks about farming know nothing about it. Except the farmers. Right, Lori, that's exactly what I meant, Mike. Oh, okay. Glad we agree. Snarky Weezer says, and I also think that the major problem for immigration, at least here, is completely a problem our government created for not supporting farming here, and again, paying less than fair. Paying less than fair. Snarky Weezer, there's so many freaking problems with Mexico. And I honestly, I don't understand it. I mean, I understand the drug war and the problems that causes for cartels power in Mexico, and then the corruption that's fed off of. But you know what? Long before the cartels took over Mexico, the freaking the government there was corrupt. So I don't know how you solve a corruption problem in an entire country. I don't. But your guys were corrupt all the way down to the federales. Maybe especially the federales. Boy, what a I have never. You guys think any cops are corrupt in America? Go to Mexico. Every federale is freaking corrupt there. I think they take those jobs just because it's easier to get money off of Americans who happen to be down there. Wraithless says, I love the Japanese tradition on fastener-less joinery in their carpentry. Yeah, it's called dovetail and groove. That's how I built my part of my deck out there. Yeah, but they take away those entry-level jobs away from Australian citizens at CFAN. 85. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else? Mike Bloomberg takes fire from all sides during his first time on a 2020 debate stage. Attacks during the Democratic. Let's see how this looks. Bloomberg barely attacked Biden, barely attacked Sanders. Huge attack on Warren. Nail. Wow, everybody attacked Bloomberg. Huh? And Bloomberg only attacked Sanders and Biden. So Bloomberg only sees these two as actual rivals. Biden and Warren see Bloomberg as the biggest threats. Buttigieg sees Sanders as his biggest threat. Sanders sees Buttigieg and Bloomberg. Nope, Buttigieg. He sees Buttigieg as his biggest threat. This is a very interesting graph. And now Mike is lost on his next trip south. I don't go to Mexico. Snarky Weezer says Blacklist Universe. True. We don't respect the police. We know they are as bad as common thieves. Yep. Man. Federales. They might as well be thieves down there, man. Like it was by design, looking at that diagram. Break Larry says, I know former Mexican cops, and they will tell you stories about their corrupt fellows and the rampant cartel violence. It's sad, isn't it? How do you fix? I mean, Mexico has the potential to be one of the greatest economic powerhouses in the Western Hemisphere, and it's just a corrupt freaking mess. How do you fix that? I have no idea how you fix it. I think ending the war on drugs in America is a step, though. All right. It seems like the wind down and chill stream always turns into a political stream. So do go down to the description and click on Magnificent 7 and make sure you sign up for that book so I can make it. Or I can publish it anyways. I already made it. All right. All right, get back. What the heck? I don't want to see that. I don't know what happened. What happened? All right, scrolling back down. Mr. Bloomberg had policies in New York City of stop and frisk, which went after African American and Latino in an outrageous way. Well, you know, it's not racist to notice that there are some demographic truths about who commits the most crime. Right? It's just that's just a reality. And if you're it might be a very ugly reality and a reality that most people don't want to face up to. But when you have 50% of the crime in a city being committed by 6% of the population, which is African American males, that's not funny. That's not something a leader can ignore and pretend doesn't exist. Yeah, statistics are racist. It's bad. It's horrible. And I hate to say it because, you know, I mean, you guys know that. It's like, I'm not getting into, oh, my black friends. It's got nothing to do with who I'm friends with or who I'm not. That's just a statistical reality and it sucks. But to ignore that reality, you're putting your citizenship at risk. Right? Am I wrong? Somebody tell me I'm wrong. If you're black or Latino, tell me I'm wrong and then tell me why I'm wrong. Snarky Weezer says, I mean, just see how the PRI was in power for decades and then it changed and now, for better or worse, democracy works. Something that was a dream when I was a kid. So, interesting. I don't mean to be divisive. I just feel obligated to speak up for your neighbors. Who are your neighbors? Ending the drug war is the first step. Yeah, I agree. The drug war, I think, causes more harm than good. No. Is that a perfect solution? No. There's no such thing as perfect solutions. Maybe I will not see it, but someday I know it will happen. I hope it does, Snarky Weezer. I really hope it does. I think Mexico is such a beautiful country. I wish I felt safe going down there. I live 20 minutes away. It's so cheap down there. I really wish I felt safe going down there because I'd probably go down there fairly often. Are you kidding me? I could go down if I felt safe enough to take my family down to vacation in Mexico. It's so cheap down there. I could take them down, stay in a hotel, and buy them all lobster dinners. I can't have lobster, but I can buy them all lobster dinners and stay in a hotel for a weekend for like, I don't know, probably the price of one decent dinner here. It's crazy. So I would love for Mexico to stop being a dangerous, scary, jacked up place. Right, Dylan says I haven't gone to Mexico since the early 90s. Me either. Maybe 95.
Oh, you want me to make it automatic being circuit?
A flood of cheap meth and coke would be a nightmare. After a couple of weeks, I would be tired of them. You would be tired of all of the meth and coke? Weldon drives his crappy car down to Mexico. I guess the cartels don't think he's worth kidnapping. Let me tell you what happened to my friend Candy. I know, Candace, but Candy and her sister went down to Mexico, and this was in the 90s. and she had a brand new IROC. Candy didn't, her sister did. They went down to Mexico, party, party, party. Hey, we're 18. We can go down there and drink, blah, 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 blah. They go down to Mexico. They're coming back up, and they get stopped at the border because, well, they're in a brand new IROC, and they're young girls. So obviously they've been down to Mexico up to no good. They pulled him over. They got him out of the car. They searched that car with a fine-tooth comb. You know what they found? About this big. They found a marijuana cigarette roach. The butt end of a no longer smokable joint. So they took her car. They confiscated her car. She couldn't get it back. Brand new IROC. Mexico is perfectly safe unless you're Mormon. Ooh. That's the federales, guys. That's the level of corruption down there. They see a pretty shiny thing. They will take it. They will take it. They'll find a reason to take it. I had another acquaintance, not a friend. He was an acquaintance. And a friend of his, it wasn't him, but a friend of his got busted with some coke. And he was with this guy. And so they both went to Mexican prison. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was either $20,000 or $40,000 in cash at the border in order to release him from Mexican prison. So, no big trial, no all of this stuff. It was just they caught these guys, guilty or not, regardless of anything. No lawyers allowed. No lawyers can fly down to Mexico and fight for your case. You can go back if you pay them enough cash. And so, yeah, I think the dude's wife ended up having to sell their car, and borrow money to get enough cash to get Joe across the border. There was another case here. This was probably 20 years ago, of a guy and his wife, and they were just driving down to Ensenada. This government official pulls out onto the highway and crashes into their car. Right? The government official crashed into their car, broke his neck. They wouldn't allow the guy to get life flighted back to San Diego to get surgery to save his life until they paid for him to get a new car. I think that was like $35,000. So they had to get $35,000 in cash again. And my numbers may be off, but this is what I remember. To pay for his car in order to save the guy's life. They couldn't do it in time. The guy died. So people wonder why I don't go to Mexico when it's 20 minutes away. Because these are just some of these stories are just my personal friends. There's a website, I believe, I haven't been to it in forever, but of just like listing all of the just garbage tier stuff that happens in Mexico to Americans who go down there. And it's not safe. It's not good. I would always beg my freaking niece not to go down there. And she's like, oh no, we go down there all the time. It's like, please don't go to Mexico. But, between 18 and 21, if you want to go drink legally, Mexico's the place to be. Fun stuff, huh? Anyways, I think we're done with the Democrats. And I think the Democrats are done with us. Only Hollywood actors go to Mexico, LOL. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. The Monkees movie Head was written by Jack Nicholson, Bob Rafelson in a motel in Tijuana. Dennis Hopper was there, but he ran off in the desert on peyote and got nailed by federales. Snarky says, as I said, the real problem is inside the government. And as I mentioned, that is changing very freaking slowly. But it is changing. I have never understood why old people didn't fight for their rights. Snarky, you know why? Because of America. I fully believe this. America is the boil over that keeps Mexico from all out civil war, from all out revolution. Because the people who have the motivation, the energy, the anger to actually stand up to the government, they realize it's easier to just cross the border and go live in America. We are the safe space for the people motivated enough to do something about their lives in Mexico. They leave. They come here. If we build a wall and we make it all but impossible to come to America, that will start a new boiling point for Mexicans who can't leave. And I think if we are successful, at some point in the next generation, you will probably see an overthrow of the government. You'll see a civil war or some kind of a revolution in Mexico to oust the corruption and the possibly, I don't know. That's the scary thing about Mexico is a lot of the cartels have Mexican ex special forces guys working for the cartels. That's a little scary. Seed Fan says Australia's a better choice. Drinking age is 18 and every town has a police station. Yeah, but it's on the other side of the planet, Seed Fan. It's on the whole other side of the planet. All right, I'm going to finish this up and we're going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you for everyone hanging out here. Wow, we just got 5 more viewers all of a sudden. What the heck? Wherever you go, take yourself with you. Mexico is a hellhole. But it could be one of the best places on earth, Bianca. That's the problem. That's the problem. Snarky says, for example, Mike, I did have the opportunity to leave, but I decided to stay. Did you? Just got the notification you were live. Goodness. Giuseppe says, why should America take in cowardice traitors who flee their own country instead of fixing it? I'm not suggesting they should. I'm saying that's what happens. That's just a practical reality. I'm not saying that's a good or that I think it's a good idea or that I'm not supporting it. I'm just saying it's true. And Snarky, you decided to stay, but am I right or am I right? Right? I studied in the second most expensive school in Mexico. I speak 2 languages. Mexico is warm enough for malaria. Poop on that. We used to have malaria in America too. But what we did was we sprayed this entire country with DDT. And then we decided that, you know what? We shouldn't use DDT on the brown people of the world. They sprayed DDT all over all the white people of the world, killed all the mosquitoes that gave malaria, stopped the spread of malaria, and then just didn't give a flying fig about Africa or, well, then again, Africa is like huge. Immigrating doesn't make you cowardly or traitorous. No, I mean, it's just a reality, right? Say, I mean, everybody else, put yourself in those shoes. You're living in a country where with a corrupt government, corrupt police force run by cartels who hire special forces as enforcers. Are you going to stand up on your own to try to take on that kind of an institution? Because I'll tell you where your head will be as soon as you try. It will be on the other side of town, probably in a pile of other heads. I'm not going to show you any photos, but that's just reality in Mexico. Or are you going to say, well, I've had enough of this. I'm going to make the trek across the border. All I got to do is climb a fence or cross a desert, and I have a chance at living a better life than anybody I know in my immediate vicinity. It's not cowardly. I don't think it's cowardly. But it's a reality. I can respect staying to fight, but I understand bailing out too. Well, that's the thing, is like, if everybody's bailing out, or at least, you know, most of the people who you would need, who would have the gumption and the guts, and unfortunately not the guns, because you don't have the Second Amendment there. But yeah, it's scary ass crap. Snarky Weezer, this is something I don't usually tell, but I was 7 when some thieves entered my house and murdered my father. Oof. Yeah, that sucks. In front of all of us, we only survived because my father gave his life for us. Wow. Who did it? You know who did it? Apparently you can only legally buy a gun in one store in Mexico. Really, Breakler? Jeez. This is becoming pretty grim. But that's another thing. My friend Andre, his ex-girlfriend, hey, what was Andre's? Christina. Christina, oh, that's the reason you try so hard to change? Yes, the police. The police? The police came in and murdered your father in front of his entire family. Wow. So I'm trying to remember this exact story, because Christina's brother was murdered in Mexico and extorted. The police absolutely did nothing about this, because they know the guy that killed him, and extorted money from their mother, like all of this time. I mean, I live in San Diego. I know so many people who are Mexican nationals. So her brother was first kidnapped and then killed and then extorted the money. Like they had his phone, so he kept calling his mother, saying, or texting his mother, pretending to be him, who he had already killed, extorting mother, saying that, you know, he wouldn't be allowed back unless he gave this, blah 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 blah. They knew who did it, right? Because it was his friend that did this. But the cartel, or not the cartel, the police, the federales there, they wouldn't do anything about it. There's no law and order in Mexico. It's a corrupt police force. Who are you going to call if you can't call the police? You know, if you get in some crazy situation, you call the police come and they shoot your husband. I mean, and you can't go there. There's no freaking Second Amendment there, so you can't protect yourself. Snarky says, my father was for the first time in his life to take a vacation, and he was going to celebrate his anniversary wedding. He made a ballroom just behind the pool because we have had 2 previous experiences with people entering the house. My dad decided to contract some police to watch for us. So it was one of the police your dad hired, wasn't it? That's crazy. That's so crazy. I'll tell you another just random story, and then I got to wrap this up. I was in Albuquerque. And look what happened. Yes. Yeah. Called it. Jeez. I was in Albuquerque, and I was, you know, taking an Uber to, no, maybe it was a taxi. Uber. I think it was an Uber. To the airport. It was a long drive. And I got to talking to my, you guys, it's another Mike talks to his Uber driver story. And I was talking to him, and I'm like, you know, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, I'm from Mexico. He's like, I live here because, you know, he's like, I have a house in Mexico, but I don't go there because the people in the neighborhood know that I have money. And so anytime I go to Mexico, there's always people following me. And then I'm afraid, I think he's been robbed like a bunch of the times he went down there. So he's like, they know I come down there. They know I bring cash. And so I get robbed like every time I go home to see my house and my family in Mexico. And it's like, ugh. It just reminds me of my friend Tio, the one who's coloring Magnificent Seven. He's Venezuelan, right? And he used to do work for me for free because I would send him $100 to color something, and he'd be like, dude, he's like, if I go down to the Western Union office and I pick up $100 in American money, that's like 80,000 bolivar. He's like, I will get mugged on the way home. He's like, there will be people there who know Theo just got the $100 US, and they'll freaking mug him on the way home. So he would do work for me for free. And it got to the point where he's like, look, I have a friend in the US, and he set up a bank account for me there, so you can pay this PayPal address. But for the longest time, he's like, I'll just do it. Don't pay me. He's all, don't pay me because I'll get mugged. I'm like, golly, it was like the worst situation. Oh man. But that's what it reminded me of. Sober up. I'm sober. I only had one drink. Well, I had one glass. That's it. It's done. Empty.
What'd you do to our iron up?
And time to go. Pay him in Bitcoin. They will ignore him. Yeah, see? That would have been genius. That's messed up. I know. Look, we're spoiled. We're in America, in the West, Australia, Europe, Canada, Japan. We're spoiled. There's a lot of very, very messed up countries in this world where things that we take for granted, like our safety, which, you know, granted, some people get robbed here and whatnot, but it's not the cops coming to protect your house and then killing you. You know, It's not cartels chopping your head off to make a point. Even PayPal would have avoided that. Yeah, but he couldn't get PayPal in Venezuela. PayPal's not in every country in the world. Giuseppe, what happened to Aloha Hour? Will that ever return? Well, Aloha Hour was, I mean, I have the little Aloha thing up here in the corner. But it was like me and Edwin hanging out. So now, I don't know, one of these days, maybe. But anyways, thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to wrap this up. It is 1:34 a.m. Elijah, you should be in bed. In America, you cash check. In Russia, check cash you. My ex is Ukrainian. Sometimes she couldn't call her mom because the telephone cable was stolen for the copper wire. Enjoy living in America, everybody else, or Australia, or wherever. Thanks to you. Thank you, Snarky Weezer. I'm glad you were here. Please do subscribe to the channel, anyone who has not already. And we'll see you on the next whatever. Oh, tomorrow morning, cross-examinations. God bless.
Oh, it looks good on you, though.
Bye.